know what that was about. Hey Derek. So, hey guys, good evening. So last week someone requested that I talk about drawing eyes and faces. And hey Nisa, good evening. So that is what I'm going to do today. We have a little bit of reference here as well as a whole lot off camera. But before we really dive into this, I do have some things that I need to take care of. So let me switch views. First of all, this is made possible thanks to the generosity of my patrons over on Patreon. Without their support, I would not be able to continue the YouTube channel, nor would I be able to continue streaming in the way that I am doing now. So I want to thank them for their help and support. If you're feeling generous and you like what I do, if you want to say I'm doing a good job, you can head on over to patreon.com/NatoSoup, join the Art Nerd community, and gain early access to all sorts of tutorials. And speaking of, so for tonight's presentation, tonight's stream, I actually sent them a bunch of printables as well as my Manga Madness presentation so that they would have all of that handy for tonight's stream. So if you like what I do and you want to help support what I'm doing, you can head on over to patreon.com/NatoSoup. It would also mean a lot to me, especially if you enjoy my art, if you would read my webcomic 7-Inch Kara. And you can find it at 7inchkara.tumblr.com and 7inchkara.com. And right now I have a beautiful guest comic from Feathery Fern that is currently running. So this is Feather's beautiful art, and I believe Feather is still open for commissions. Speaking of commissions, if you are interested in commissioning original art, my friend Heidi Black is currently taking commissions and they could really use your help and support. Heidi has a gorgeous art style and they're offering 1, 2, and 3 character commissions as well as character and background commissions. And their commissions are available in pencil, ink, and color, with your color options being digital color, marker, or watercolor. In fact, I recently purchased an $80 commission from Heidi myself. So you can check this information out over on their Twitter, and their Twitter handle is Electric Abyss. Finally, if you enjoy comics, if you enjoy illustration, if you enjoy art, and you're not a YouTube person, you find video tutorials hard to follow along, I have a blog where I walk you through many of the processes that I use when I'm making comics or when I'm watercoloring or when I'm doing alcohol marker. And on that note, that is not what I wanted. Let me see if I can find it. No, computer, do what it won't. Thank you, computer. Anyway, on that note, I am teaching some in-person classes here in Nashville. The one that disappeared on you guys is my Making Comics class that begins next Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. and it runs for 6 weeks. You guys can find information about that over on my Twitter, and Joseph can drop further information for you guys if y'all are interested. Don't know why I have horrible, awful pop-ups coming up to distract me. I also have an intermediate comics course, so if you're already making comics, if you've already got your own comic running, and you're interested in utilizing a large format printer, or you would like to scan your work, or you'd like to work with a different media, intermediate comics is a great way to do that. We're going to be talking about everything from markers to watercolor to tone. We're going to be talking about scanning and laying out your own comics, and students will handle printing their comics. But don't worry, I'm bringing in my printer, so you don't have to worry about footing the bill, but it's a great way to get some hands-on experience. And both classes end with a joint zine exchange at a to-be-announced location. And if you are also in the Nashville area and you're looking to brush up on your figure drawing skills, specifically figure drawing for comics, I am teaching a From Stick to Figure class at the Nashville Plaza on September 8th, and it is from 1 to 4 p.m. Thank you for being so awesome with all the links. So during last week's stream, when we were going through some Japanese art books, someone requested I go over how to draw eyes. And I thought that would be a really good opportunity to talk about drawing eyes and faces. So I think they asked specifically for an anime style, which is why I have all these books out, because underneath the anime and manga umbrella of style, there are so many sub-styles. There's so many different ways to draw faces and eyes, and it's really about finding the elements that you like and integrating them into your work. So one of the things I recommend the most is that you read a lot of manga, you watch a lot of anime, and you do a lot of studies in your sketchbook. Practice drawing your characters in other people's styles. And here are some older style studies I did way back in 2014. I have this as like a class resource to show how the same character looks when you interpret them in different artist styles. And I basically just went through all the different art styles that I like, and I practiced drawing Kara and interpreting Kara in those styles. And this went on for a few months, because I did a lot of them, and this is an exercise I'd like to revisit. And I also made it a point to ink them and try to ink them as close to the style of the original as possible. And what this did is this gave me kind of a vocabulary of different elements that I could use for different projects. And it helped me kind of better understand why the artists draw things the way they draw them, because I'm not just copying their characters, I'm reinterpreting my character in their style. So if you're looking to develop your art style, if you want to hone your art style, if you haven't yet found your art style, taking an OC, an original character of yours, even just drawing yourself in other people's art styles is a great way to start discovering what you like, what works for you, what works for the sort of stories you want to tell. So on that note, I actually have 4 illustrations of Kara, one in a realistic style, one in the house style, one in what I call like my chibi style, and then one in a really cartoony style. And I would say all but this one would still fall in the anime and manga category. Now I will also caveat that I have gotten the criticism from people who work for Viz that my stuff isn't manga enough to be manga, and I've gotten the criticism from people who work in indie comics that my work is too manga to be indie comics. So I have existed in this weird nebulous space for a really long time. So take what I say with a grain of salt. So my patrons have access to this facial turnaround sheet, which we're going to be utilizing a little bit later. They also have access to this like chibi template printable, and we're going to take a look at that in a little while as well. But the first thing I kind of want to talk about is just like the wide range of styles that kind of fall under the manga umbrella. So we have Triple I Academy, which we took a look at last week, but I really love how Chihiro How draws chibis, how cute and expressive their faces are, how much detail is in their eyes. Their eyes really dominate their faces. All of the other elements of their faces are very simplified, a very small, simple nose, simple mouth, very simple ears, but the eyes are very expressive. So that could be something you're looking to bring into your art. So maybe what you would want to do is do some style studies from this. Then we have Phoenix Wright and the Ace Attorney series. And what I really like about Phoenix Wright is they combine very simple stylized faces and hair with fairly realistic body proportions and clothing options. I mean, this is a ridiculous cast of characters, but it's not necessarily their proportions that are ridiculous, it's their personalities that are crazy ridiculous. So that's something that I really like, and it's something that I also like about Kiyohiko Azuma's art style, the guy who does Yotsuba and did Azumanga Daioh, is that the faces are very cartoony and simple, but the figures themselves are fairly realistic. So you can see the eye, in fact, from character to character in the Phoenix Wright series, everybody has very different eyes as well. So it isn't like there's like a set way of drawing eyes for this series. So you guys can see that these types of eyes are very, very different from these. And the proportions of the face are more realistic. The noses are larger, the mouths are larger, but everything is still fairly simplified. Then we have Honey and Clover by Chika Umino, and I really love her art style. Her work is a big influence on my watercolor work. So you get these really light and airy sort of illustrations, a lot of watercolor, and the eyes themselves are very pretty, but they're very simple and they're full of light and light colors. Even when she's inking, the inks are very light and they're often sepia colored, so they don't kind of overweigh down the illustration. Even where there's heavy inks, the way she draws eyes are very sketchy and very light. And then we have Naruto, which is like your very, I also have One Piece down here. It's your very typical kind of shonen art style. The eyes are smaller, but Kishimoto really pushes the expression in order to best convey the emotions that the characters are feeling. Whereas in Honey and Clover, the expressions might be a little bit pulled back, not as full of expression as, say, Naruto's character designs. Though he's drawing a lot of like that smug face. And then we have Arina Tanemura, and she has these massive eyes that take up I don't have any Golgo 13. Like earlier, I was kind of going through my bookshelf looking for a diverse range of different art styles. So you have these massive eyes that take up like half the face, and then all the other features are very small and they're squinched into the bottom half of the face. And that's true for both girls and boys, although the boys tend to have much narrower eyes in her art style than the girls. The girls have massive eyes. Like seriously, that's like 2/3 of her face. And then finally, I have Ichiro Oda's One Piece here. And to me, this one is the most cartoony and the least manga-like, but obviously it is a manga. And it's a very popular one. But the eyes are really simple and mouths get really big and end up taking up a lot of the face. And he also changes up how he draws eyes pretty frequently. So every character has their own style of drawing eyes. But since he's the one drawing it and he draws it all consistently, it starts to feel like they're all his characters. I feel like, Dr. Slump, Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama. There we go. I feel like his stuff is like that as well, where it's very cartoony. Well, his older stuff. I wouldn't say his Dragon Ball Z stuff because it starts getting very samey. But like Dr. Slump, Dragon Ball, Galactic Patrolman, Jacko, those all have like kind of diversity of style. So I wanted to show you guys this before we really dived in, because I just wanted to kind of fight the notion that there is a set way to draw anime style eyes. I think those books that, you know, Michaels sells tends to really push the notion of like, you know, this is anime style, but there's a lot of different ways that you can draw things and it still feel like it's manga inspired. So if you're looking for Western inspiration in that regard, Cannon Busters on Netflix is really good, and it's done by the same guy who did Avatar: The Last Airbender. Avatar is also really good, so that's kind of a good place to take inspiration from. So these are just some different examples of ways that you can draw eyes that still sort of feel like they're manga inspired. I'm going to switch the camera over because, and hopefully this will work. Can you see it over there?
Yes.
Okay, because I can't stream videos from my own channel, so I wasn't sure if I could stream. Yeah. Okay, so this is from my Manga Madness presentation, and the whole point of this presentation is basically to demonstrate that you can draw any style you want if you understand the basics of constructing the head and the basics of constructing eyes. And my art nerds have this entire presentation. I'm not going to go over the entire thing with you guys. I know that would be a bit much, but this is the handout that I'm going to be using a lot. And it's just a head turnaround that shows the head sketched in from multiple different angles. And this is just a quick sort of, well, I say quick. It was not quick. It took a few hours. But it's just to demonstrate how light can affect the face and the planes of the face. Same goes for this. Thinking about the face as a series of shaded zones will help you shade the face. But that's a little bit later on, since we're talking more about eyes. Something else I do want to point out is, again, talking about style and simplification. When you are drawing your own characters, thinking about what elements you want to keep. So I have 3 examples. I have a Gundam, I have Snake, and I have Al. And it all shows how you can have a very cool character, and by simplifying and shortening, making some things larger, some things smaller, by playing with the forms, you can get something that's very cute. And I'm also going to go out on a limb and say that I personally think doing things in a cartoony style and doing them well is more difficult than drawing things realistically. And the reason for that is when you're cartooning things, you're abstracting shapes and you're putting more creativity in it. Whereas when you're working very realistically, you're often working very heavily from reference. But if you guys look at my art, you'll see that my art is very cartoony. So clearly I do have a bias. So there are a lot of different ways that we can draw eyes. Let me do desk and monitor again. Okay. And actually, I want to grab a very dusty hand mirror. No, whoa. That is not necessarily the view I wanted y'all to have. I want to see myself, and I have a feeling y'all are going to see cleavage if I can see myself, which I'm not really comfortable with. Anyway, so usually with eyes, right? Eyes in the head are spheres. They're spherical shapes. And we have the top lid and we have the bottom lid kind of occluding or covering up the eyeball. And then depending, because different people have different types of eyelids, you might have this upper eyelid crease. And if you're like me and you're tired all the time, you have some bags under your eyes. the eyelashes are coming from, so this is the eyelid, and this is kind of like where the eyelid goes over the eye, right? The waterline is what people would refer to it in like makeup terms. The eyelashes are coming from the waterline. So that's a kind of gross looking realistic way to draw a human eye. We can go, let me use red. We can go slightly more abstracted. So that is a little bit more cartoony. So basically what I'm doing is I'm selecting what I want to keep, what I want to exaggerate, and what I'm going to leave to the imagination with each pass. So each pass I'm going a little bit more cartoony than the one before. But I'm still drawing my own eyes. I haven't like quit drawing my eye. So far we have 4 different eyes. They're all based off my own eyes. I'm working from a hand mirror, so I'm working from reference, and I'm just changing different elements each time. But really, what stays the same every single time I draw eyes is I start with a circle, or maybe I'll start with an oblong shape. It kind of depends on the shape of the person's eyes. I'll draw a circle around that. That helps me place where the eyebrow goes. I draw a top lid. And sometimes I'll draw a bottom lid, but not always. And I don't always draw them the same way. Then, depending, I may draw an upper eyelid or I may not. I may add, this isn't really like I cannot talk this evening. Anatomically accurate. This sort of like, it's like a holdover from 90s anime, like from the universe. Draw with weird crystal-shaped eyes that have that like little corner there. Then I'll usually draw that part, because if you were drawing an eye more realistically, you have, it's all the same eyelid, but it kind of hits a corner where it takes a turn back down to meet the lower lid. So that's what that represents there. And then again, depending on the style, sometimes I will just draw the eye and fill it in black, and maybe I'll have like a little highlight. Sometimes I'll draw the iris and the pupil. So it really kind of depends on the character and what I'm drawing and what I'm trying to achieve in my drawing. I mean, for Kara, for my comic these days, I keep things pretty simple. And a lot of how I draw eyes is inspired by the anime that I watch, or the comics that I read, or the manga that I like, plus me experimenting with different elements of style and taking things from like Disney's playbook, that sort of thing. So the point of this slide was just to show how on the same basic face shape, different types of eyes, different shapes of eyes can really change the character, even if there is nothing else going on with the face. So I promised I would demonstrate doing a head turnaround like this. To me, this is one of the most important things for drawing, like constructive anatomy and being able to draw heads from various angles is one of the most important things for drawing comics for me, for drawing illustrations for me, for drawing anything for me. So this is a topic that I'm going to come back to again and again and again. No, I mean, it's just a turnaround. I use it for a lot of different things. So we start with a sphere and we draw a crosshair on the sphere to divide it in half, vertically and horizontally. Then if I'm just sketching, I will do kind of a U shape, and that's the lower part of the chin. If you want to tighten that up, you can draw two straight lines going down from the midpoint to where we've curved the chin. Then a U shape. And now we're going to get to the point where I kind of draw through. This is the underside of the jaw, also the underside of the jaw. And back there is where the skull meets the neck. So that would be a front-facing view. I bet I can. Unfortunately, YouTube might demonetize me because nudity. Okay, so this is one of my little knockoff Figmas from Wish. So it would be like that view there. Then I'm going to do a 3/4 view. And you can have a reference like this. It is handy. It's so tiny though, it's hard to see. You could use a decently built figure's head. So from 3/4 view, and this is the sort of thing, I've drawn this a million times probably by now. So the more you do it, the more natural it's going to become. And I definitely think it is worth doing and worth practicing, because the more you practice doing any sort of human drawing, the more you're going to build up a library of those skills. So as you guys can see in the front view, the sides of her face have been kind of flattened. And that's what these circles represent. It's like somebody took a knife and cut the edges off of a sphere. And I do have, it's not here because I didn't think I could fly it, but I have like a foam head that I built to show younger artists what I'm talking about. I did use a knife. All right, so that is the bottom of the face, underside of the jaw, also underside of the jaw where it meets the skull, back of the head where it meets the neck. I know we've done this in stream before, but to me, drawing eyes, drawing faces, this is all connected. So I don't necessarily see the point in covering one without covering the other. So this is where such a little reference comes in handy. Like let's say I want to draw like a 3/4 view looking up. So I would draw the circle lower. It's our midpoint of the face. Maybe I'll draw through. course, the problem with this sort of thing, now that you guys can see it really well, but you see how they don't even, it's not filled in, and that allows us to manipulate the head and pose it in different ways. But that's an area I have a lot of trouble with, is that jaw area. Yeah.
Is there a name for the jaw ear area?
I'm sure there is, and I just don't remember it.
That's hard to shade.
Yeah, that for sure. And this is the area where we get hot dogs. The little neck rolls. So even if you have a little handy reference like this, knowing basic head construction is really useful for being able to like interpret what you're seeing. I'll do one more like this. I'll do like kind of behind. And I'm trying to do unusual angles because I've done the basic angles so many times, and this is something I should be practicing more too, especially since I do have a handy little reference. And that's when we would draw the head all the way through so we could connect the jaw. It is getting messy. I'm gonna clean it up, but yeah, I need to sharpen my pencils. These double-sided correction pencils are really great for these sort of demonstrations. And that's something I should be doing more often. I should be making it a point to do those sort of studies. Okay, so that is kind of a quick tutorial on drawing the head. I'm pretty sure I have other videos on this channel where I talk about head construction. Plus, drawing heads was not the focus for today. I am. That was with this. I can go back to this in a minute. Yeah. Yeah, that is important too. So I need to sharpen my pencils. I will be, well, yeah, I'll be right back. Hang on. Time for me to check the chat. Checking the chat. Checking the chat. Draw Reagan tag? Oh, I see. Okay. Yes, mildly spice. It's like paprika levels of spice. Hey Tanner, good evening. And hi Allie. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it my vocal audio that's choppy or the music audio that's choppy? My computer is being weird. I can toss you my studio cans. Giant studio cans. I have headphones in my purse in the little black cat bag that Sam made. Y'all sexually harassing Fire Emblem characters. Oh, you know what? I don't have to have it playing for me at all. I forget that sometimes. Okay. Hey! Alright, anyway. So, placing the eyes, I place the eyes along the center line of the head, and they are going to be visible in some form for everything except the back view here. So when I'm placing the eyes, I do an imaginary third eye, the center eye, because your eyes are about one eye width apart. For stylistic reasons, you may want to make them further or closer, but generally they're one eye width apart. Then I do the eyebrow circles just to help me place the eyebrows. And doing this center eye helps me place my eyes in 3/4 view very easily. Even over here, we're not necessarily going to see the eye, but the cheek is going to go in and we are going to see the eyelash. It really depends on what you're going for. What I think is cute is like dough baby kind of faces, where their faces are a little bit more pudgy than they would normally be. So in that instance, I would recess the eyes to emphasize like the cute round cheeks. And then just for completion's sake, the nose is about halfway down. And then the mouth is about halfway down from the nose to the bottom of the face. And the hairline is about halfway from the middle line to the top of the head. And that's something that's kind of negotiable. It depends on the character. And let me know if you guys are having trouble seeing anything. So then the ears are usually from the tops of the eyebrows to the bottom of the nose. Again, it can vary by person. If you're drawing massive anime eyes, then that's gonna make for some really big ears, but that didn't stop Detective Conan. And you can draw ears in a variety of ways as well. Something that's fun, and I need to be doing it again, is taking reference, like working from reference photos of different people. Humanae, Humanae, has photos of people of all ages and all races. And that's really cool to work from because it gives you that diversity and that variety so that you're not just drawing the same 3 people over and over again. And a good exercise that I need to be doing more of is drawing, like translating those people into a cartoony style. When I was working more cons, that was a good opportunity for me to draw different people in cartoony styles, but I'm not doing as many, so. And then now that I've got everything kind of figured out, I usually start with the top eyelid, the bottom eyelid, pupil, same thing on the other side. And then eyebrows can really change up how the face looks as well. So you have all of these different options. It's not just in the eyes. Although I think drawing eyes is probably everybody's favorite. How many of you, myself included, how many of you, like, you would draw one really baller, really awesome eye, best eye ever. It's on loose leaf, and you can't draw its mate for the life of you, let alone draw the rest of the face. That's why I go to all this trouble of like figuring everything out before I even really start on the fun stuff. So that's why I'm also pretty slow at drawing. And the face would divot. You can see a little bit of the eyebrow and a little bit of the eyelash. And you'd also see the nose depending on how large their nose is. I have a giant nose, so you would definitely see my nose from that view. And the same thing over here. Okay, so that's some really basic eye placement and eye sketches. Did you have any more questions in that regard? You good? Okay. Sorry, since you were the one who asked, I thought I would check back in with you. So I also have this template of very cutesy, cartoony, chibi faces. So I'm just gonna draw 6 different types of eyes. I'm gonna start with my personal favorite, the giant Ugu shoujo eyes. Because that is the, shoot, even how you draw the iris is like, this is very dated. We've been watching Slayers, so I'm gonna blame it on Lena Embers. Those kind of, I always think of them like, oh, it's like crystal shard kind of eyes. The big shiny Desu eyes, you know.
Like, I understand making a kind of big specular highlight, but then someone decided, let's make it massive.
I want to
Like,
say
giant
we can
black
thank
light
Osamu Tezuka for that. Okay, so then let's go for something much more low-key. GTO / Yakuza looking eyes. This chop is gonna hold you up in the alley. This is the kid who at UNO was holding people up by knife point. Let's try something kind of Oda inspired, where we have the larger eyes, but they're very simple. Eyes should take up at least 1/3 of the face at any given moment. Well, when you, oh, like the long, narrow eyes? Like a noodle? Like this? Or like this, where it's basically like snaky eyes. Let's give this person giant eyebrows. Then I have to make them bigger if they're gonna be like Olga. Nothing but eyebrows. Bah. Oh my gosh, where Golgo's been zapped with a time ray gun and now he's 14 and the only identifying feature is his massive eyebrows. It's like Detective Conan, but hard-boiled. The child who's seen like 20 ghosts. But that's something that I really like about manga over anime is that the original style is still really apparent. So every series has its own unique art style and every artist has like a distinctive way of drawing things. Which eye? I mean, I think don't worry about what's easiest. Worry about what's going to keep you drawing because a lot of the younger people I teach, they're drawing these really, really elaborate shoujo eyes with like 10 million sparkles, right? And that's not the easiest by any stretch, but that's what they love. That's what drew them to drawing in the first place. So go with what's going to keep you drawing. Okay, so we did lots of different types of eyes. We talked about the basic structure of the eye. We talked about the head turnaround. Oh, markers. So I'm going to marker and color 3 different eyes for you guys. We're gonna do a pair of like really, really big shoujo eyes with lots of different colors. And then we're gonna do 2 pairs of eyes that are more naturally colored. Let me know if you can't see what I'm drawing. Actually, I can check. Yes. Sorry, guys. Are you not gonna stay? Ow. Okay, so speaking of drawing our roots, I'll start with the big shoujo eyes. Because it's not picking it up yet. Okay. And I am sketching really lightly to begin with. Big shoujo eyes. I'm also simplifying everything because, again, with drawing faces, manga-inspired faces, anime-inspired faces, there's a lot of different elements that you can adjust to get the character to look the way you want them to. So I'm just kind of briefly touching. Actually, I really hate those eyes. Let me erase them and start again. Is pink and blue? What are you even doing over there? I know. So I actually do have. I thought teal and pink are pretty dang shoujo. Purple and pink, but teal's really cute. doing the lineless style because A, I don't have to wait for the ink to dry. I can just go over it as it is. And B, it's one of my favorite techniques. Although it is a little bit harder for the camera to pick up. Trying to channel my roots of being like a 14-year-old in math class, only half paying attention to geometry, drawing the biggest eyes I can, and no face to go with it. Oh, no, you gotta talk math, talk algebra. See? See? Because I liked math class. I just mean like, because I'm like, oh, I'm struggling with this, and I think it's because I don't have a face to go with it, but that is not the intention. The intention is also to like spend, like you're trying to kill 90 minutes. And also you only draw one eye. You don't draw them 8. And then you get out your glitter jelly rolls and you painstakingly color it in. That takes the next class. So English. I'm looking for a really light blue. I think B00 will work. Okay, so I apply my shadow color to the top half of the eye, and sometimes along the bottom. I don't normally draw eyes this big though. Ignore how streaky it is. And then let's see. So I think I was going for blue eyes with pink highlights. So base color. Bland. Accent. No, it's much pinker than I expected. Bland. Huh? I've drawn, actually that's the color scheme I use for Annie, so there you go. Give that a little bit of a chance to dry so we can do some dry over wet blending. Oh no, I think every class has art supplies walk. Maybe we'll get really bubbly and use some rubbing alcohol. And what that's doing is it's pushing the color to the back of the paper. Coffee country. Coffee county, sorry. Does that mean they serve y'all all Starbucks in the morning? Or is that just my dream? Push some of that shadow back with some blender. Of course, the real test is when we get out the white Signo and the white gouache and we garbage it up. Are you laughing at me?
A little bit. What kind of designs are you going to draw on these eyes?
Oh, you got to do all of the designs.
Pumpkin spice lattes.
Well, you should have said something. Could have done that from the start. Oh, the sparkles. That's right. If we're doing shoujo eyes, it has to have all the sparkles. Although this ain't gonna cut it. BRB. Digging around for white correctional fluid, yeah. Digging around for white correctional fluid. Joseph's not even laughing at me. He's like, she ain't even funny. What do you mean, like an eyelid? I'm not done. Oh, wait a minute. Gotta be smart about this. Wow. Even Wow, wow. Dang it, I had a pink. Oh, there it is. Oh, this is pink eye. This is, I was picking my nose and then my eyes. I don't know, I'm making a mess now. I swear, somebody really did ask me to do eyes last week. I don't even know if they're in the chat anymore. Hopefully this was helpful. At this point, I'm just, I don't know, making diseased looking eyes, I guess. This poor girl, her eyes don't even match. Hey, break it up. I want to do it in black, but I chickened out. I did it real smart too, because it's right off the side of the page, which is like the hardest stuff to ink. All right, those are both back. Okay, so natural, more natural. Color dyes. I have brown and I have pink. So we're gonna give somebody heterochromia. We're gonna revisit DeviantArt in 2001. Yeah, there's more contrast. Wow. I hit the point where I was like, this is gonna look bad anyway, so I'm just gonna play around with it. Let's do blue first. Yeah, that's right. Well, Someone in the stream last week asked me to do a tutorial on drawing anime eyes. So that's what this was all kind of about. We're just kind of wrapping up. So when I do eyes, I usually like to do about 3 colors. My light, my medium, and my dark. And I will usually kind of blend out between the layers to kind of push it back and lighten the color a little bit. But I pretty much always put a shadow along the top of the eye where the lid is covering the iris. And I usually do the pupils a darker shade of the eye, as you guys saw up there. Sometimes I'll ink it black, but usually it's just a darker shade. All right, do the same thing with brown. So I basically do kind of an all over fill, but I am leaving a little bit of rim lighting. I'm gonna push that back with, you can use a lighter color, like you could use a lighter skin tone color, or you can use the blender marker. Or you can use a contrasting color and get some neat effects with that. I have a whole series of like Monster Girls I did with alcohol marker, and I did those sort of techniques with that. So that was all done with one color and a blender marker. Now we're moved on to our medium tone. That feeling when the color is much darker than you were expecting, but you were too lazy to swatch before your own stream. Oh, I'm gonna thin it out with the prior color. That marker may also need to be cleaned because it was going down kind of funny. Like, it feels sticky. That happens with some of the darker markers sometimes. The ink evaporates and it basically clots. Sometimes it crystallizes. You can clean that off with rubbing alcohol and a paper towel. And then my darkest color. And then you can ink it in a variety of ways. I'm gonna grab a red. Try something, probably fail at it, but try something I've seen other people do and I've liked it. So like applying a little bit of blush to the creases of the eye. Give that a second to dry and then I'll ink it. And then unless you guys have any questions or if you want to see anything drawn or demonstrated, I think we can call it an evening. Because other than being like, go out and experiment and try new things and see how other people do things, I don't really have like a whole lot to add. probably, like, I think when I'm making a new style, I'm thinking about what my goals are for the aesthetic as a whole and what audience I want it to appeal to. No, I usually start with the face shape. Yeah, it's a little weird for me to just draw eyes. Because I normally will do the whole face and then do the eyes. Alright, have a good evening, Feather. Sure. Alright, guys. I think that about wraps it up. So thank you guys so much for joining me this evening, keeping me company this evening. I really appreciate it. If there's ever anything that you guys want to see me demonstrate or do, let me know. And I know I still have some requests that I need to work through. I need to clean out the ones from people who have not been in the chat in a really long time. And that way I can focus on getting the ones done for those of you who have been awesome and have been keeping me company. So, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. If you're in the Nashville area and you're part of the revote, go out and vote. If you haven't voted yet, I'll be out voting tomorrow. And next week, I'm actually going to run a premiere of one of the Japan trip videos. So, gonna be doing that next week instead of a stream. So hopefully I will see you guys again really soon. Bye guys.